for this opportunity to discuss some final considerations with you in this wonderful convention. My name is Brezet. I work at TU Delft already for 25 years at the University of Aalborg in Denmark for 3 years, and at two polytechnics in which I have a modest role of helping to support new programs, and I am also officially nominated as member of the Coordinating Council for Higher Education in Portugal, which for me is a very honorable job. And I don't know why the minister gave me that job, but it has something to do with what we are doing here today. Let me also congratulate you with the Portuguese soccer team, because I'm really feeling very proud that you won this time. I was here in 2004 when the Greek Aristides or something like that, when he beat us, and we were really very sad. So we went home with a father feeling more than from Lisbon. And so congratulations this time, and I hope you pick up this spirit. If something like this would happen in Denmark or in Sweden or in the Netherlands, the whole population would be building on that in all areas. And you are so modest, as I know already for many years, that you think, okay, that was soccer. So I can tell you, but don't tell the minister. I had a meeting with the minister at 8 o'clock when the match started. And so I said, Mr. Minister, can we watch the soccer? No, we cannot. We have to do this business for the polytechnics and with the polytechnics. When I was brought back to the hotel in the car, that was the final goal, and we won the game, but I didn't follow nothing. So dedicated you are. And in the meeting of the HEP, I was the only one congratulating the minister and the other people there, because there seems to be no link. I think there really should be a link, and there could be a link, that you can be proud of that. And I believe also, Professor Barra, that you can be happy with, extremely happy with this convention. It was a lot of work for you, but it's completely clear now from many proposals that the polytechnics are able, on the one hand, to develop their own strengths in maybe regional or even more than regional areas, creating new businesses and coming with wonderful new ideas. And on the other hand, why couldn't those polytechnics at a regional level not connect here and there to international connections? And the speakers that came here these days from outside, we all have invited you to come over to the north to exchange, not only for your sake, but also because we can learn so much from how you organize your things. And in general, I would say that what we can learn in the north of Europe from Portugal is that you are really very strong thinkers. You are much better in developing concepts, and you have much more a traditional philosophy that sometimes seems to be lost in the north. Also, if you think of the word sustainable development, then the part that has to do with, let's say, the people part is taken care of much better here than in the north. So I'm absolutely sure, and I have also many examples, that my students love to come to Portugal or to Italy, but to the south, to learn things that they never would learn in the north. So I learned also a lot of things here, and I believe from all these ideas, yes, of course, if money is the restriction, not all of them will be rewarded, but many of them will. And I would, in your case, be happy with, let's say, the type of minister that you have at this moment, who is trying to, step by step, modernize things that particularly the ones among us, the teachers among us, that like to be in the world of today, only can give support. And you've seen the examples also from Amsterdam and from the north of our country, that young teachers and promovendi, now they become the professors of practice, and then they can create their own groups, and they love to do that, and for the region, that's very welcome. They don't have a debate with the universities. The universities deliver some things to them and vice versa, but it looks like in a few years the university system as we know it now, with only publications-based things, will blow up itself because it's going over the edge. It's a crazy war of publications, and in the meantime in the region people need our practical step-by-step knowledge. So anyway, my history to explain why I'm here with Portugal goes back to the city of Rotterdam, to be more precise, May 14, 1962. Can I ask who here is born before May 14, 1962? Can I see hands who is older than 62? Sorry, than May 62. Okay, well, not more than 10. Who here is, I'm 60.
Before May?
Yeah, 14th of May, okay. No, I know it's not a fair question to ask, particularly not for the ladies, but can I ask them only to see the hands of the gentlemen that are older than 66?
Including
No,
66?
not you. No, not you. No, surely.
Including
No.
66?
Including 66. Okay. It's incredible, but well, I keep you out of the equation. So it must be clear that I am the oldest person here in this audience. So I can tell you what I saw on May 1962 in Rotterdam. I was a poor young boy from Rotterdam, and in front of me came the players of Benfica. They played against Feyenoord Rotterdam. And so I could touch Costa Pereira, the keeper. I could be almost on the field because the fields were not protected with Coluna, with Simoes, with Augusto, and Eusebio. So, alright, we played 0-0, and we were proud to play 0-0 against Benfica, because Benfica, well, that was the top and still is. But many years ago, okay, of course, Sporting in Porto doesn't matter. It was the first team I saw from Portugal. So what happened is, years later, when I had my work here in Portugal, working together with the Portuguese PhDs that came to Delft and worked here as well with polytechnics, I had the occasion to meet with Eusebio de Ferreira. And my father told me, and this was somewhere in 1990 or so, there is still this glass that your mother bought for you because Feyenoord Benfica was 0-0, and on it was a picture of Eusebio. So my father gave me the glass to bring to Eusebio, and that was such a wonderful thing. In the Netherlands, you never could talk with Johan Cruyff or with Abel Lenstra or those famous players. Here I could bring the glass to Eusebio, and we became not close, but we became friends. So every time I was here and there was a match, and when he was not busy with Frank Beckenbauer, I was with Eusebio. And you can imagine that such a thing gives you a connection to a country, because it's so. Alright, now from that time on, the link with Portugal has been strong. I had 3 PhDs, 2 of them finished, one unfortunately not, got ill, one in Cork on a master, and one on medical design. And I learned a lot in cooperating with them, and also cooperating, for instance, with the design school in Lisbon, which is also a polytechnic. Now I go to my presentation, which is on adventures in project proposal writing. So you know, project proposal writing is something terrible, but we can make an adventure out of it. And that is my personal story PhD defenses if I didn't start already when I was young with project proposal writing. So I tell you, if you don't like publishing, okay, you're with me because I hate it, but we have to do it. But if you like project proposal writing, you will be much more powerful. Because, for instance, Professor Beira, he has to see all the time if he's in the right Hears index. You can write a proposal and you don't need an Hears index. You can give the proposal to anybody who wants to pay for it. So, totally independent and much better life than Professor Beira here. Sorry for you. No, I make jokes. I can make jokes. Okay, next joke. This is for you. Who is Prompy? Because I really had a problem with my identity here these 2 days. There's Professor Beira, he could be Prompy. Yeah? And that person on the right side, who has a little similarity with me, could also be Prompy. My name is Brezet. So I want to know who votes. So the question is, do you think that the students call Professor Beira Prompy, or that they call me Prompy, and why? So I want to see hands. Who chooses Professor Beira? Oh, there's two of them. And who chooses Professor Brezet? Okay, a little bit more. Okay.
I surrender.
Well, here you can see that you have to surrender, because if you go, but please do it after the minister has left. If you go to the website in YouTube, Dancing with Prompy, you can see that I'm a jazz musician. Yeah?
With a saxophone, I think.
Okay. Now, serious business. What I would like to say, and this is really serious, that writing project proposals like you are doing now can also be an adventure and can be an entrepreneurship kind of thing. So if I go back in time, after my study in Delft in electrical engineering, I believe this was in the 70s. There was, as you can see in some of the pictures, no oil. There was the oil crisis of 73, 79. I wanted to study more on society, so I went to Erasmus University and studied sociology. But okay, sociology was also a little bit abstract. So at a certain moment, we were one of the first to get an IBM type machine.
It's electrics.
Exactly. Then I met another guy from Delft who also went to Rotterdam, which was exceptional at that time, that engineers would go to a Alpha and Gamma university, such as Sylvester, who is still a colleague of mine. And he had his professor, who at that time was rector of Delft. He brought him also to the table. And at that time, I had refused the army, that was possible in the Netherlands, and then you had to work more than 2 years for some social good. Well, I chose to work at the university. You got paid, I could buy an old Julho, and then we said, now we are going to do what we really like, and it is doing research on energy innovation. And we had this idea, and so we were not officially in one institute, we were just there as volunteers. We had this idea that we have to measure the energy use of all Dutch households, 5 million, we build a model, and then you push some buttons and then you can reduce it. Well, Dirk, the rector, said maybe that's a little bit too much, like we are discussing sometimes today, don't change the whole, pick out something. He said, what if you would start with those households that adopt energy innovations, like heating, extra heating boilers, extra efficient heating boilers, and you compare those with the consumers that don't buy the innovation. So, okay, that was a good plan. We traveled with the Julho, with our plan, which was tight, to 20 institutes. We had a meeting every week, and we just said, okay, we are engineers from Delft, we have no work, but we have this proposal. Okay, some people said, well, interesting, but nobody wanted to pay, until Dirk came with this idea of the small groups. All of a sudden, at the very rich gas companies in the north of our country, which are extremely rich, they said, well, that's not so bad. You can start with a study. So we got something like 30,000 guilders. And I can remember we were dancing on the table in the university because we thought we can make our own scale. So we said we have 30,000, give us every month 10,000, but that didn't work like that. First they didn't want to do it. In the end, to make a long story short, this is a story of entrepreneurship and what you would call effectuation. We used every chance in our network and what we had in our head and the combination of all the tools and the car and the type machine to get our job and our project going. And nowadays you would compare that with the model of Sarasvati, which is an American professor. This is the new thinking in entrepreneurship. So the idea is not, let's make a business plan and a marketing plan and we know exactly this part of the market, 10,000 pieces of this, and we can sell it so much. She says it doesn't work like that. It starts with who are you, what do you know, and whom do you know. And this is what we try to also convey to you in these days. Please make your network. For instance, I'm here from TU Delft, but you can easily, via me in the Netherlands, but also in Denmark, get to, I think, 7, 8 polytechnics. In all those polytechnics, I have somebody I can call. If you say next year, summer, I come to the Netherlands, I call for you and I arrange it. I just love to do it as emeritus professor by that time. So give me a call and I will try. Well, that's the part, who do I know? It means also, who could I know very quickly if I would do a very small, efficient step. The second, so you have maybe not your idea completely ready, but I don't want to go too long into that, but if you follow this approach, that you also say how many days one has spent into it, and you start to talk like I did with the stakeholders, you will see that your idea will change. This is what happened also during those days. And maybe you set new goals, but it could also be that you say, okay, everybody loved it, and now I go for the new means. And the new means would be, you submit it like it is. The important thing on the left side is also this laminate. Sometimes, what you call serendipity. Sometimes unexpected things happen, and you can say, okay, don't come with this now, because I'm busy with my proposal. Please think, maybe it could support your proposal, and you would modify it a little bit, but it could be a wonderful extra. So, what I would like you to consider, if you can think when you write proposals and submit them, also more in an effectuation way. Of course, you need to write a good proposal, and of course you have your expertise, but quickly you can get other things on board. Well, this is for discussion, because if I would be in your jury of your projects, I would say, of course you know what you're talking about, and you will fulfill all the criteria that they give you. As a jury member, I would look for something extra. So, Professor Beyer, we have to discuss this, because you said in the previous proposal, you said, well, maybe that's for another round. And if I would be the jury member, I would say, the others give me what should be done, but this proposal gives me something extra. Well, discussion point. Okay, we already discussed this, that of course here it's about innovation for regional business, including international connections. I think that's the real key thing, and I think Sandra, that you also have presented that thing very strongly, isn't it? Yeah. But innovation can of course be many small steps. We have just discussed the robotics, but it can also be many small steps after each other. Think of the Danish wind industry. They never came with a crucial new drastic design, step by step, they improved their wind turbines, and now they are leading in the world. And there was nothing special, it was just learning by doing, learning by doing. So, well, of course, you have the student inputs, and what the buzzword at the moment is maybe not so much interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary, which of course is good, but more crossover. Crossover can also be that what you learn in the core industry, like with my PhD, can also account in a similar way for the ceramics or for part of the agriculture. I would use more in Europe the word crossover. When they attack you on saying that you have either not enough theory in your proposal or not enough practice, I would always say, well, we call it reflective practice, and it covers both, because you do the practice, but you promise already that you will learn from it, and before you start the practice, maybe you learn already from the previous reflections in a very efficient way. In 2000, already students should start to play with cork and other products to create a crossover together with small companies and designers. And only towards the end, with the reflective practice, she wrote a PhD. And this is how I believe that polytechnics and universities can very well work together. Since you gather a lot of the data which are interesting also for universities. Okay, from time to time, out of 20 master students, one PhD comes, fine. But the 20 master students or the 40 bachelor students are yours and not the university ones, or a combination. Then about juries. Of course I'm optimistic, but I've seen very unfair juries. I had one dean, and we later on called him the evil dean, and then his name became Devil, the Devil. It's not good for a dean. But this dean would say to you, okay, you write a proposal. This was for internal money with, in our university, with an internal jury. The jury already has told me, I will get the money, you can write what you want, you don't get it. Now, these are the open, unfair juries. Then you can write what you want, but you have, the chance is zero. And you have, of course, very fair juries, which is most of the time. And if they don't seem fair, it's just because they didn't know what to do with it, because it's not their area. Or the problem for many juries is there is only limited money and a lot of proposals. Now, who of you has ever been in such a jury to decide upon money? Can I see some hands? 1, 2. It's probably, but it's also open for discussion. You have the same experience as I have. If you have 1 million euro and you have 100 proposals of 50,000, it's a lot of work, and this jury work you do it most of the time for free. So you start thinking, well, 3-4 days, you start to look at negative things. So you hope that you can kick out proposals. Instead of that you look for, wow, these are nice people with a good idea. So I don't want to disappoint you, but make it difficult for them. Try to avoid things like that they could say that this has been done before. Don't they know this or that person that is so very good expert in the field? They don't mention it in the proposal. Things like that, they choose that to kick you out. And that should, of course, not happen. So this uniqueness, that's the thing. I don't know if it fits this call. And juries can also be subjective because they have their own preferences and ideas on innovation. What they will do if they cannot judge the proposals, since it's not their field, they will consult colleagues. So if you know who the juries are, you can more or less also see who they will consult. And they will use internet for things that they really don't know. So this is what I do also, and I've also been in some national TV shows where you have to judge proposals, these things. The only thing you have is that you look into the internet, and then you find something, and if you don't find it back in the proposal, you say, okay, that cannot be good, because even on the internet I could find something more or less the same. So what is new? So do the internet test, and is my advice, to see what you find about your own proposal if you put it in. The paradoxes about the theory versus the practical results, I think we solved it with the term reflective practice. But the paradox of doing research, not knowing what the outcomes will be, and that you have to promise always useful results, in this case also for your regions and your business, I cannot solve that paradox. That's sometimes the people that give you the assignment, they ask for outcomes, but if they want to have these outcomes, why should we do research? So the only solution that I see is that you promise reasonable outputs that one could expect, like propositions, but never that you promise that you will really that you know the outcomes already, because then immediately they will kill your proposal and say, well, the outcome is there, why do the research? References, and I don't mean literature references, but it's really good if the people, the businesses that you work with and who are your clients or other entities, that they support your research with a letter. Juries are reading these things. They are reading, is this something like a setup, or does it come from the heart, and do they really need this research? So that can be very powerful. And it can also be even references from former students of yours that have created their own businesses and are only with 2, 3, 4, 5 people in a multimedia office or in something like a modern thing. That could be really refreshing also for a jury. Like I suggested, Anna Mester was able to start 10 years before her PhD, giving already small assignments to students in minors, etc. I know it's hard because the system requires from us quite strategic and tight planning, but it would have been wonderful with your proposal that you submit now if you could have told that already for 2 years, 4 or 5 students have been working on this, you already know this and this and this, and now we will build on it. Many of you have that, but it's a real strong point, and it doesn't cost so much if students can do that. So, 2 examples of our practice. This was one of my students in industrial design that came 8 years ago with a small project. It was €2,000 for the student as a fee, and he said he should take an island and make the island a totally dark sky island. The way was all lighting, with the exception of a little bit of modern lighting. Well, so it started with a graduation project and it ended with a large consultancy project. So again, proposals had to be written. He was part of that. And in the end, Texel is now a dark sky. It means that all old lighting is gone. We only have LEDs and a very smart system. And everybody is happy with that. Only the German drunken bicycles at night, they make accidents, but we don't care so much. We love the Germans like you love Spain. Another example was a student. We have these festivals also on the island. So the student made provisional, and they use diesel generation, which is a lot of high source of pollution. So from the diesel generation, again, it's a small, very small project. He came with a smart energy management system that is mobile. Directly, some companies from the area jumped on it, and this is now part of all festivals in the north. And now it goes from the festivals to the mainland and to the surroundings. So, well, you have these examples as well, but it's really true that sometimes students can start something innovative and you can build around it, you help to make it flourish, and it becomes a business of the future. Another consideration in your proposal is that, yes, of course, you have to be very thorough in your research methodology. But sometimes creativeness can cut short a lot of more or less old-fashioned ways of approaching research. So, in this case, my student had to come up with a system to see how we could reduce the power use for electrical heating when people wake up and take a shower or go in the bath, how we can bring back the peak shaving. And he could have gone in this is a smart neighborhood, he could have gone to all households, hundreds of them, and then asked, can you maybe shift a little bit your, that you wake up at 7:30 and then he goes to the next night, if you now wake up at 8 o'clock and you do the shower then in the chill. That won't work, that type of research. If you propose that, everybody knows in the end he has to start with household one again. So what he did, he made a small simulating game that people could play. And all of a sudden we could see that indeed there was a possibility, and there is a possibility to reduce those peaks. Of course now he will make the game and make his business out of that. So, but what I would like to say is that gaming here was the research approach. By playing, and I've seen many of you that have similar approaches, and it's quite interesting because you never learn that in your research methodology at your school. There are some of these tools. I will send this to Professor Vera for creative product service development that I just would like to mention. Here's a sustainable business model mapping, and what I try to learn all the time like you do, what I learned from my own PhDs here is that usually when we design a product service combination to create new value for, well, in this case your region or some businesses, that you think of the new, what you think of your proposition of today and then of the new opportunities. What we never think of, or not so often, is what we miss in values and what values we destroy by creating these new ones. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention, that I believe this is worthwhile to do in a small exercise sometimes when you write your proposal. And there's a mapping tool for it. So, but this is, let's say, just a sampling. I would also always present your draft proposal to critical but good-willing colleagues. I know there are also bad-willing colleagues. Yeah? That they hope that you fail. But of course, maybe sometimes you hope that from them as well. But there are the ones, your colleague friends, I would call them, that will be critical, but that help you. I think that was also the atmosphere and the very good value, and I will bring that back to the minister and to this council of this event, that there was a really good atmosphere of exchanging things. Of course you cannot give away all your secrets, but so that helps to improve things. In the US, nobody will present an idea from a consultancy or an institute after not having been discussing it inside with a presentation, and they will kill each other, and then only they go out. So it's better to have the criticism inside than outside. And what I learned in the European arena, that when you complete a running project, excuse me, then you should have started a new one already. Because here you have this network, and maybe you worked with 5 other entities, companies, other institutes. Now, one of the 5 is really, you never want to work with that person or that institute again, but the other 4, yes. So, if you're still finishing one project, you should already have 1 or 2 next proposals in the pocket with these people, because that chance to build something like that, you will never get again so easily. So to complete my discussion note, I think project proposal writing is a must, and it's an impossible task because, yeah, you have to serve too many princes or princesses and to combine things. So do it together with colleague friends. It's also good to see project proposal writing as a disease. You can learn it, but some people, they love it and they do it all the time, and some others don't like it so much. Well, if you don't like it so much, why don't you then create a dance floor where you see that some people and help to diffuse the disease, and you can be the manager of it. So it means that you don't have to do all the things yourself if it's not in your genes. You can add other things to it. And the lesson that I learned, and for me, so maybe this is too much a personal story, but the lesson I learned from being entrepreneurial in project proposals writing, you can do what you want. There are only a few people that write proposals and that have a huge success. So if you can do that, everybody is dependent on you, and you come in somewhere. I came to Delft, they had 1.5 chair professorship, and I brought in 5 PhDs in 1 or 2 years by writing proposals, and that has increased over the years. Nobody can say no to that, so it makes you independent, and I wish you a lot of success, and I enjoyed these days. And Professor Baer, next time I bring the tenor sax, but you have to take care of my design girls. Yeah, I always have the 2 ladies dancing with me. Is it okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.